circulation. Circulation, circulation, circulation. This is something that we begin to lose the function of circulation as we get older, as our hair starts to change color, and as our body systems become more sedentary as we get older. We're not as active as we used to be. Many, many, many reasons for not having the same circulation as we once did. So how does infrared help circulation? I'm going to tell you that, and again, if you want the research on this, go below, send me this information. But the enzyme reaction between the light rays, literally the light rays that come from these heaters. Now we're surrounded with 6 heaters, correct? And I don't know whether to say they're heaters that generate a light wave or they're a light wave that generate heat. Either way, there's a light wave that is penetrating into your body, 1.5 inches to 2 inches. That light wave interacts with the cells of the body, creates literally a chemical reaction, an enzymatic reaction that produces a gas which is called nitric oxide. Now, people all over town are trying to produce more nitric oxide. They're telling you to eat beets. They're telling you to eat more L-arginine. And those ways have certain benefits to them, but nothing does it naturally like infrared. So nitric oxide, what is it? It's a gas. The gas flows through our veins. It dilates all our veins, vessels, arteries, capillaries. Capillaries being the most important, right? That's where we get the least amount of circulation. So if I can create all this dilation in my body, then certainly the blood flow is going to go further into my body. We recently discovered a paper called The Fourth Phase of Water. Again, ask us, we'll send it to you. It's an amazing article. Let me sum it up by saying 2 things. One, that it acts as a blood thinner, which doesn't negate any of the blood thinners if you're already taking them. And it acts as an anticoagulant for those people who are at risk for blood clots and strokes. And so it makes it a perfect adjunct to blood circulation, blood flow throughout the body. Bonnie, you know as well as I do, the reason people have so many back surgeries is because the doctors say we can't get blood flow to those discs.
Exactly.
Literally the veins in the discs are smaller than the red blood cells trying to feed them. When
both the back and the knees.
Well, any cartilage.
Yeah.
Any cartilage. The knees, certainly, but we see more back issues than we do anything else. Now, if I can dilate those tiny little veins, and I can thin that blood, and then have that blood flow through those veins, then over time, those issues that require oxygen, require blood to heal, are going to heal. And that's why, in this case, for someone with a back injury or knee injury or any cartilage issues, torn rotator, they're going to benefit from this added circulation. But the most important person, who do you think the most important person is? That's okay. Diabetics.
Oh, yes.
Diabetics. Many things happen with diabetics because of their issues. I'm not a doctor. I'm not going to go into the issues. What I do know is that I'm going to dilate all their veins, vessels, arteries, and capillaries, thin the blood, have it run all the way through their body. So now issues with things like neuropathy, ulcers that won't heal, heal in 2 ways. One, from the outside in, because of the heat that is the infrared as it penetrates the sore, and then from the inside out. And so we see people with diabetic ulcers, those are healing fantastically, but also neuropathy.
I'm reminded of the gentleman in Washington, 5 years ago or so, came up to me in a wheelchair, diabetic neuropathy, knees down, sores all over the bottom of his feet, scheduled to have his feet removed. That's how bad they were. They just weren't healing, no circulation. And he said, will this help? And I said, I don't know, it's your body. It's helped other people, but I'm not sure how your body is going to respond. And he said, I'm going to try it. So he bought one and called me a couple months later and said, my feet, they hurt. And I went, that's great. We love it. Because that meant the nerves are starting to restore. And I said, just pull it back to maybe 15 minutes a day because your body will go back in memory, so it'll be painful. And he goes, doesn't matter, I'll push through the pain. And the next year at the fair, he ran up to me, complete healing. We both cried. It was amazing. And then just last year in January, he came up, gave me a big hug, and he said, I just celebrated my 80th birthday on the golf course. I could walk. And it was just, that's what happens. That's what we see happen with circulation in this machine.
That's circulation in a nutshell. And you hear it's a cliche. If we could only help one person, well, the truth is this happens for all people, whether how their body responds to it or how long it takes to respond to it. But nitric oxide it happens. You can't stop that enzyme reaction. A couple small things about nitric oxide. Not only is it a vasodilator, but it is a neurotransmitter. And as a neurotransmitter, it runs the signals from the brain to the rest of the body. And because of that, even if you have low blood pressure, everybody says this lowers blood pressure, but I already have low blood pressure. The brain knows that your blood pressure needs to come up. So it will actually send a signal through the nitric oxide to contract the veins to actually raise your blood pressure.
One of the other things that I'm reminded with nitric oxide is when we're young, we have huge amounts of nitric oxide. Children, they heal so fast. It's like, what the heck? When we get old, what happened, you know? Well, as we age, nitric oxide production slows down. And that's why older people just have such a hard time healing. And that's why this is so powerful to raise that nitric oxide production, just like when you were young.
You bring up a great point, and let me just say, there's a reason why those same young people don't have heart disease, right? They don't have all the junk clogging their veins and arteries, and what nitric oxide does, what the other thing that it does as it dilates, it actually helps remove the excess that's in the veins, and it doesn't do it in chunks. People go, are chunks of my plaque gonna fall? From what I've read and what I understand, it treats it almost like a very fine sandpaper, right? So it slowly moves it out. That's why they have people in stage 4 cardiovascular disease using infrared, because it helps them, and that in particular is about nitric oxide.